Cutting edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul's awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place. All right, you divine lions, lionesses, today it is myself with Sovereign Sensei and Persecuted Patriot heavily, Daniel Warren Oke. And Dan is back to share with us once again why Canada is the most crime-ridden terrorist haven on earth, the Law of War Manual, the White Flag of Parley initiative, what's happening with President Trump and his interactions with the FBI's Director Kash Patel, U.S. Army, Judge Advocate Generals, the Criminal Investigation Division, as well as what you can do if you're in Canada or wherever you are in the United States, the UK, Ireland, Scotland, Australia, New Zealand, or any of the other countries in the Commonwealth to bring the JAG in, to bring the CID in, make them aware of the war crimes with actionable items right now on the show so that you can play a participant role as a civilian non-combatant via the Law of War Manual and call upon the immediate cessation of crimes against humanity and getting remedy for yourself. Stay tuned, share this everywhere. We'll see you on the live stream. All right, and here we are, everybody. Myself, Brad Wozny, with the amazing Dan, Lakeshore Sovereign Assembly. Here he is, an actual sensei. This is not made up, and that's why he's a sovereign sensei. And I say so, welcome back, my good man, because this time last year, everybody, if you've been following us and you saw what I put into the trailer, Dan was thrown into prison, in the worst prison in Canada, Milton, Ontario, simply for the fact that he and his beautiful wife, Yayoi, had stood up peacefully, saved a woman's daughter from being murdered by the jabs, the COVID-19 weapon of mass destruction, as the Alliance of Indigenous Nation International Tribunal has rendered it as such, gene editing, biological, technological, and radiological weapon, which we covered here 2 months ago with Frida and the chief over in Haida Gwaii Nation who brought this forward, this claim, and the Alliance of Indigenous Nations Tribunal rendered it as such. So we are here with an absolute hero. He is now free somewhat, from Bramladesh, my hometown. I was 132 Air Cadet Squadron there. If everybody remembers that, you go so far back in the audience. And this man has been standing up for humanity as a freaking hero, just like James Bowder, Pastor Artur Pawlowski, Norman Traversy, and so many others. Dan, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you so much, Brad. I really appreciate you having me on again and everything you're doing, getting the word out. I really liked your introduction. You covered a lot of ground in that one little clip there. So much appreciated, and really happy to be able to share the message with everybody, and not just what happened to us, but what they can do about it. That was a great intro. I appreciate that, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it, Dan. Well, in part, thanks to what you guys have done with the Truth Guardians Peace Treaty, the thousands of pages of evidence of RICO crimes in Canada, Crown Corporation, at the levels of business, military, medical, political infrastructures, as well as a corrupt judiciary and many law enforcement agencies, from RCMP to the OPP, to the regional police department, York Regional Police Department. Most of those guys are wearing they've got biceps, lipstick, earrings, and high heels. Like, what? And they're pronoun pounding, mastard, micro penis normies. It's crazy. So, and that was a one take. I did all that in a one take. The one take was today, because this has just been 100% an onslaught, everyone, upon you, upon your family, upon your children, all across the planet. And why we say that Canada, China, Venezuela is the most crime-ridden terrorist haven in the world on earth right now, which then truly represents the greatest threat to American sovereignty, both continentally and then also from a national security and from a state level security across the northern states of the border of the false 49th parallel in Canada. So yeah, how about that?
It's a load, but it's all true. And if people actually get into the research, see what's going on, and really start to dive into some simple questions, right? Like, what am I doing to create the reality that I want to live in? And then the actions that I am doing in everything in life, do they resonate with me, and do they resonate with the truth? And I'll give you the most simple one that, we've talked about here plenty of times. You've talked about without me plenty of times. The simple idea of, do you file a tax return? And like, the law, when you get into the law, and it's not a lot of law, but when you get into it and you realize that funding the crime actually makes you, as an individual, as a man or a woman, liable for the crime.
Yep.
That actually starts to really make you stop and think. But this is a concept that we've been going on in our calls recently, talking about the idea of resonance. Does it resonate with me? Does it resonate with the truth? And then what actions are you doing to actually manifest that reality? The meditation and the spiritual aspect is a massive part of it, of course, but we have a third dimensional body to take an action in this reality. So whether your outcome in the immediate reality is bad, happy, sad, it's not irrelevant. It's, what are you know what's true. When you learn what's true, do you act with what is true? Simple concepts, but massive impacts.
Well said. And, let's just give people a little bit of context, Dan.
Yeah.
If they haven't watched the shows that we have done leading up to your literal capture in what they considered a court in Brampton, and your beautiful wife, Yayoi, she has read the entire 1,284 pages of the Law of War Manual and a basis for the Truth Guardians Peace Treaty. And then what we're talking about here today with the White Flag of Parley and the meaning behind that from a Law of War Manual standpoint, everyone, is with regards to the fact that we are in a continuity of government in America, and there is a full-blown war going on globally, spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, psychological, and technological, and radiological as well, all across. It just doesn't happen to be you have tanks in the streets and bombs falling on your head. This is the new generation of warfare, which we've all been living under. So if you could take people back through a little bit pre-convoy, what you guys have been doing, standing up, maybe how you met over the next few minutes, to bring them up to where you are today. Free from jail, still on parole. Yayoi's on parole because you simply stood up and showed thousands of pages of evidence and nobody came, and you had to get in contact with judge advocate generals in America, like we did with our JAG letters and the quo warrantos as well, issued through Norman. And here we are today.
Indeed. So I suppose I will start at the beginning, and, for everybody listening or watching this, everything that we've got and that we've done is available on the website. It's kind of buried in the evidence of the Truth Guardians Peace Treaty and everything. But to take it back to 2020, and my sensei, who's been on the show as well, so he's been dealing with the deep state agenda, some different levels of international security since the mid 80s. And he had a pretty good idea of what was going on and what was about to happen in December 2019, when he asked all of us, as directors within the organization, he just put out the question, hey, if you and your students had to take a vaccine to keep your business open, what would you do? Keep in mind, we hadn't locked down yet. This is December 2019, right? So he said on your show when you had him on that one of the contacts he had a file on his desk in the military called C-19 in 1972. So this has been going on for a while, right? But if you read the Law of War Manual, one of the things that you will find in there is that there are steps, there are processes, and there are things that you have to show that you've done before certain things can happen. And a really simple one is exhaust all peaceful alternatives. So since 2020, we have been exhausting all peaceful alternatives. The first large thing that we did was to perform citizens' arrests of the mayors during the lockdown. This is just when there was lockdowns and masks as the main thing. The idea being is that the mayors could have stopped these illegal, unlawful, human rights violating actions at the municipal level. They didn't, so they became complicit with the crime. And we wanted to give the police an opportunity to do their job and fulfill their oath and do
cinnamon with
right
oats.
as well. So that's where we performed the citizens' arrests in defense of the children. We got parents to file police reports. We did everything by the book.
Yep.
We co-wrote the criminal report with the binder of evidence, and we ran it by 2 lawyers, 3 paralegals, and various contacts from police on guard. And everybody said, hey, this would be a slam dunk in any other situation. So we had parents from whatever region we did it. We did 7 altogether. We had parents file criminal reports first. And then under the Criminal Code of Canada, we said, hey, if you don't do your job, we have to, and we have to perform the citizens' arrest. So we did that 7 times. Of course, no mayor came out in chains. But again, we hear this a lot. Well, that's not going to work, or that didn't work. It's not about what works, right? We know the system is busted. We know that there's a cleanup. We know that there's a white hat military. We know that there's all these things happening. It's not that the action doesn't work. Largely, it's that people don't work for the right thing. When we would go and do these different citizens arrest actions, we had a lot of meetings and things coming together. And the first question we put out there after, we had the leaders of like every freedom group in one meeting at one time. And nobody could poke a hole in the plan. Everybody likes it. And then we go, okay, so let's all coordinate this at the same time, across Canada, one day, one time, citizens arrests of the mayors all at once.
Yeah.
Crickets. You guys do it first. So it's okay. It's okay. No problem. And then it was, can we at least get 10 places to do it at the same time? No. And it just ended up being us, which is fine. We did it anyway. And then out of that big old group, we think the first one we had 75 really good souls show up. And then the next one shrank and the next one shrank. One of them that we did, though, we had a common law court. There were 400 people that showed up in person. So these were the actions that we did at first. We worked with the International Tribunal, the International Tribunal of Common Law and Natural Justice. I always get the name mixed up, but they eventually came to us. We've been working with them. The head of that tribunal was actually contacted by Lara Trump and President Trump directly. When President Trump was going through his New York trials was when they were contacted. And, Sensei used to tell them, hey, the military's aware of your actions. And then they get that contact there. But the short version is we did all those citizens arrests. We did cease and desist notice. We served them in person. We served them electronically. And we filed criminal reports. My friend Jack filed criminal reports all over the place, like OPP, RCMP, plenty of local areas to make sure that per the law of war manual, we had exhausted all peaceful alternatives. You got to give the government an opportunity to do their job. Got to give the police, got to give the law enforcement, got to give everybody and the judges an opportunity to do their job too. When they haven't, that's when the law of war manual can actually activate. Mind you, it's still a military operation, so they're not going to do things on our schedule. It's happening on their schedule. What we do our duty for is synchronizing things along the way. Eventually, After I'd met my wife at a protest, we joined up, we did all these different things. A mother had asked for help regarding her one remaining daughter. We did our part, and eventually this court case came up. We went separate ways with the mother, but we were dealing with the regional senior justice of the Peel Superior Court. For those who don't know, in Canada, we have the Supreme Court, we have the Superior Court, and we have the provincial courts. So this guy, Leonard Richetti, was appointed to his position in 2020 by David Lametti. David Lametti, for people who know, was Justin Trudeau's justice minister during this whole fiasco. So Leonard Richetti, appointed by David Lametti in 2020, and we sent all law, all actions in defense of a child, went our separate ways, and then I sent out a notice that had nothing to do with the mother and her kids. We went separate. This notice was for remedy for everybody, and it was to synchronize with some of the actions that the common law court were doing in the UK at the time. They'd sent out a notice, hearing required. So we did the same thing to every regional senior justice in Ontario. Leonard Richetti had sent out a notice to our assembly to not send any more messages regarding this mother. That was August 2022. October 2022, I sent out a notice to all of the regional senior justices about all the crimes happening in Canada that had nothing to do with the mother. But then he brought in, very specifically, my wife and I under her divorce case in December 2022. We'd uncovered, because we're like, who is this guy? As you kind of perform actions and you get to know, okay, what's going on here, who's giving orders to who, you start to shake the grass and the snakes come out, and you start to wonder, who the heaven is this guy? And this is where we'd uncovered what possibly, we didn't know, because there's probably more than one Leonard Richetti on planet Earth, let alone Canada. But we found this corporation that to this day is still on the government website that has 3 CEOs listed on it. Leonard Richetti, Ted Arison, who's the founder of Carnival Cruises, and some other guy who I can't remember. And it had their home addresses on it. So in December 2022, Leonard Richetti had said, I just don't want any more letters coming to the court. Stop sending letters. Not, hey, there are crimes going on here. Not, hey, there's thousands of pages of law evidence here. Nothing like that. It's just, I just don't want letters anymore. Right? Like, no concern for humanity, which, if you read the Judges Act, if they suspect a crime in their professional or private capacity, they have a duty to act, or at least do something, report it, whatever it is, right? But we said, listen, under the proper procedure, under the common law, I should be sending a letter to you privately anyways. So we sent a letter to what might have been this man's house, and it basically was a notice of lien that said, hey, here's how we've been damaged. Here's the evidence. If you disagree, please rebut. Super peaceful. We're the victims. That's what ended up getting us arrested by this unlawful corporation. It's all in the grand jury summary, which is attached to the peace treaty website. What we did, Brad, you've got several shows of, cataloging what was happening during the trial. When we actually served the indictment on them, that was live streamed with you and Derek and General Valley. And we put quite a lot on the record. I would dare say, with everything that's included in this, more than anybody in North America is on the record with all of this stuff and with our trial and everything. A provincial judge was the individual who dealt with our case. We did get the opportunity, although we don't like to say self-representing, but for simplicity, let's say we self-represented, right? What we also said to this woman, Marcella Henschel, who was the judge that dealt with our case, was, number one, we very politely and very professionally and very succinctly called her a criminal at least 3 times a day, every day of the trial. But we cited the law as to why she's in violation of her oath, the International Covenants and Treaty, the Law of War Manual. We brought physical white flags to the courtroom and stated our declaration during this wartime situation. And we let her know that this is your opportunity to recuse yourself. This is, I said, like, this is a kangaroo court. We recognize that. We know what's going on. And we even, at the very, very last day of the trial, we, our military contacts had actually told us to ask her on the record, just to get her answer, whatever it was. Are you operating on your own, or are you taking orders from somebody? So her answer, her perjurous answer, is on the record with that too. But the, and this is the short version, shockingly, but as we went through that process, what would really shock people, a lot of people, I believe, even lawyers, or anybody, is what law and evidence they ignored to be able to do this to innocent people who sent a lawful business letter. That's all that letter was, right? Like, we, even when this judge, who we did get to cross-examine, Leonard Ricchetti, in the police report, he and his wife actually said, well, no, like, there's no actual threat here. So because he felt afraid, even if you read the Criminal Code of Canada, threat and intimidation, you have to have a reasonable grounds to suspect threat or intimidation. Yeah. There was no reasonable ground whatsoever, right? And it had nothing to do with his address or, they got to my home, I don't know how they did that. And this crack team of personalized detectives that, judges have and all that kind of stuff. I actually asked them in the trial, do you still, like, he's on the witness stand under oath, do you still not know where this address came from? Nope. Lead detective. Nope. We have no idea. And I literally brought out my phone right there. And I said, it's on the government website here. This corporation called HCL / something, it's right here. We didn't know it was your home address, so it wasn't a threat here. Well, we're trying to figure out what's going on. This company's listed at Royal Bank Plaza in Toronto. We need to know, is there any interference here? Is there a conflict of interest? What did this company do? What's going on? And then he goes in this whole spiel and he goes, oh, well, Ted Arison, Carnival Cruises, was a client of mine in the 80s. And I don't know. I don't know why he put me as CEO of this company. Ted's dead, so he can't really defend himself. But somebody committed fraud there. We have that under oath on the stand. Just glazed over. Nobody cares, right? And if you go to that website, the government website, to this day, it's still listed on there. The guy's home address is still listed on this thing. It had nothing to do with us and him feeling afraid, and everything to do with them systematically taking the leaders or people of note that stood up to the government, it didn't just happen to us. We know it's happened all across Canada and the world. And on the day that they actually threw us in the clink, they said, we want to make an example out of you. 2 other people were offered the opportunity. There were 4 of us in total. 2 other people were offered the opportunity, if they pointed the finger at me and said we were just following him, They could have just written an apology letter and walked away. They didn't do that. They stuck to their integrity, but it had nothing to do with the law and the rule of law and what is true, and everything to do with another kangaroo court and trying to create a situation of fear and intimidation. However, in a martial arts sense, this would be a suggestion of an action that people can perform. What they've given us, the opponent, through our case here, is a case precedence that anybody can use. So let's say you get a business letter from the CRA or the government or something like that saying, hey, you haven't paid, you son of a gun, you got to pay. We're going to use force, fear, and intimidation, freezing your bank accounts, whatever it is. Well, we have a case precedence right now with our case that says if you feel fear and you feel afraid, doesn't matter what the reasonable grounds are. If you feel afraid and you feel threatened, that's actually criminal harassment. That's what our case just said. So I would encourage people who, if you're standing up for truth and you get threatened or whatever it might be, use our case and say, hey, Leonard Ricchetti, the man acting as a regional senior justice for the Peel Superior Court, said that he felt fear. His police report, there was no threat. He said that. It's on the record. But he felt afraid of two women and two dudes just putting out the law, waving white flags, who under reasonable grounds, if you look at publicly what they've done all over the place, they've never been a threat to anybody. All they've ever done over a 5-year period has been peaceful, lawful, present evidence, report crimes. There's no reasonable grounds to suspect anything here. All they did was follow the communication. I don't want anything to come to the court anymore. No problem. Business letter. Here you go. Oh, I feel afraid. Now, if you feel afraid, there's a precedence. Anybody?
Yeah, thank you. What's great about that precedence is you've got CSIS has reported 4,000 terrorist groups and gangs in Canada alone. That's from the Canadian Security and Intelligence Service. We know there's batches that have been dark and white, in the good side and the bad side. So
yes,
they even warned Canadians about this. They warned the American military intelligence establishment about this as well. So then with your precedent, you can sit there and go, well, look, we've got some guy named Hapu and his wife who wears sandals, thongs, with an 18-wheeler dump truck, which just happened just down on Hurontario Street near the 410 and 401. And in the wintry days of what we're all in right now in January, driving this thing and crossed 3 lanes of traffic and drove a guy right into a median, and you see a police officer out there and she's in sandals, has no commercial driver's license. It's part of the 15 million that they've imported since 2015. That's an immigrant invasion army. And we know the majority of them, like we just saw with President Trump down there, walking around with the FAFO strategy. And this is another nice meme that we see once again. Love it, at the big golden balls, because God bless big balls, 22-year-old Canadian working for Doge just, a year ago, springtime, getting after it. That you can leverage your case, the precedent. And this is why, by the way, the Law of War Manual is the remedy. I put the links. All the links are below the description. We talk through everything, everybody. But you'll also see the links in the chat if you're still watching this live on Rumble and YouTube. The link to Canada on the SEC website, a business entity registered July 1, 1867, still headquartered in Washington, D.C. And it's why the Law of War Manual is the remedy, because we are under a continuity of government. We are under the wartime commander-in-chief, Trump, and all of the good military around the world to take down finally the deep state, the comms. Even the comms that he puts out from last year are still important for this year. And the key thing is you, the man or the woman, the living, breathing man or woman and soul, watching this show right now, have the ability to leverage this information 100% for free, already done for you. Dan and Yayoi and others and the Sensei, they have walked through the fire. They have paid massive prices to get here, and they're still standing up. And here's the link, by the way, to the Google Drive for the custom U.S. Army CID letter. And I'll go over here and I'll show that once again for the first time, rather, to everybody here, that you can leverage, and Dan will speak about over the next few minutes too, and why that's important for you to receive remedy. And President Trump just said this in his press conference on Saturday. I'm not sure if you watched it, Dan, but he said, now the people of Venezuela, the wealth will go to the people of Venezuela. And we have secured Venezuela, because remember, we have Hezbollah, Hamas, Iran, Chinese agents, deep state agents. We have fentanyl, human trafficking, human sex trafficking, as well as child trafficking and adrenochrome facilities we've become aware of in Venezuela, running the immigrants up through the Pine Gap into the open borders of Mexico. And then we also have all that stuff in Canada right now too. Yes. And he said, everyone, he goes, the people of Venezuela, those who have left, forced out in exile, some of them in the States, they have the ability to go back and some may stay, but everybody in Venezuela who is there or who had to leave will receive remedy. So he's using the specific words, remedy. They will be reimbursed. They will receive remedy. So if you're in Canada right now, or the UK, or Australia, or New Zealand, or Sweden right now, you can leverage all of this and put it forward to let them know, stop this. I want my remedy. Leave me alone. Let's move forward and let the white hat military and the good guy law enforcement, which is active in Canada right now from the USA, and it's been put out as well by the Department of Justice in their own press briefing 3 weeks ago. Let them start taking down the Picton pig farmers across Canada, the deep state, Brampton Regional Police, OPP, RCMP, bad guy military, and all the other corrupt facets of the municipalities and all of the terrorist groups by you standing up and doing this. Would that be a fair assessment to say with this Google Drive U.S. Army letter, Dan? Yeah, it would. And there's steps along the process as well. Do you want me to go into it now? Yeah, I think so. We'll just, go over there and then we'll keep coming back to this, sure. Moving forward in the chunks here. But I'm showing the letter, the PDF format. On the Google Drive, there's a PDF and a Word. So this PDF is the one that you, Yayoi, your Sensei, sent over to the U.S. Army CID, and then the Word document is people to leverage for their own. Is that right? Yes. So the idea is that they have both. Now, both documents are a template, with the proper address and everything that folks can edit, make it into your letter. We've included all of our evidence and what happened to us in there for the purpose of if any one of us is asking for remedy, we want to show that the law of war manual steps have been followed and that the evidence is there. So if somebody who hasn't necessarily performed these kinds of actions along the way, they can at least say, hey, I'm a witness to this. I've gone through the material. I'm a victim of the hostile belligerents, and I'm including this evidence in here because, I'm letting you know I see this. This is happening across the country. We've got more than just what's happening to us there. There's the fact that, we're not legitimate. There's no oaths that are properly validated, on and on and on it goes. But anybody sending it is saying, hey, simple things. Number one, I'm not a part of the combat. Number two, I do not consent to any of this. Number three, I am a non-participant. Number four, I don't want to participate. Number five, per the law of war manual, as I raise the white flag and stand in participation with the peace treaty, I'm asking for restitution, remedy, reparations. We've actually included that in the peace treaty, 50 billion as a starting number.
for everybody, all victims, businesses that have been shut down, us, you, whoever it is, right? We're all victims of the hostile belligerent. That's part of the negotiation process. And the release of the prisoners of war, right? Those seeking asylum in the States, those of us that are still prosecuted, people that have got stupid fines, right? All of us, prisoners of war. Like, look at the evidence right in front of us. That's one of the links that you've included. There is an active war going on. The law of war manual applies. Continuity of government. The law of war manual applies. Therefore, hostile belligerent, good guys, civilian non-combatants. But you've got to be coming from a neutral status. So this is all on the record. This is all shown to be ignored by the hostile belligerents. So that's why we've included it in there. But it's a template meant to be edited to your own devices if you want. The reason we are suggesting to send it to the Quantico base, that's where President Trump and the Secretary of War gathered those 800 generals. Yep. So that's a very relevant location. And in addition to that, the United States Army Criminal Investigation Division recently, I think it was in December, a few weeks ago, arrested a General Eric Shinseki, who was caught in embezzlement and a few other crimes. And he was one of Obama's generals. That's a direct signal that, like, this is happening now. There is enforcement. So we've already sent this off. We've already gotten confirmation by registered mail that it was signed for at the Quantico base. It's been received. Other members of the assembly have done the same thing. Anybody can do the same thing. But these letters and these reports and the peace treaty, we've sent the peace treaty to the Secretary of War. We've sent it to Kash Patel. We've sent it to Pam Bondi. Interesting one. The Pam Bondi one, maybe 4 months later, was actually returned to us. So it was like hey, we don't want this, send it back. But what was really interesting is that several pages from the binder that we sent were missing, and the USB drive that contained everything, like all of the documents, all of the evidence, everything was gone. And we had it in like a clipped into the binder in a zipped up, sealed plastic case. Wow. So somebody had to open the thing, take pages out, and remove the USB drive, and then make the effort to actually send it back to us. Yeah, and you want to tell me, oh, no, we didn't need that. We don't want that. No. They took what they needed, and then they gave us a little signal to say, hey, we have this. So all of these are things that have already been done. We've sent the peace treaty and all the evidence to every MP, MPP, and senator in Canada, demanding them to act as what's called our parlementaire. That's our negotiator, to acknowledge the peace treaty. But we've done that again now that Maduro has been captured. There's more information about Canada's flag that's come out. We've been saying it for years, but now Canada the Illusion has released a fabulous documentary where they actually say in that documentary, if during the convoy, instead of raising the Canadian flag, which is a sign that you are under the corporation, because that flag belongs to the corporation, if they instead raised the White Flag of Parley, people think that the white flag means surrender. It doesn't mean surrender. Read section 12.4 of the Law of War Manual. It's there. Read it. That's not my opinion. It's in there. It means parley, negotiation. And of course, for us, in the spiritual meaning, it's truth and peace. That's what the white flag means. But in a simple sense, it's also neutral background. We don't have a flag. Start over, right? So the idea with the white flag, now that we've notified the proper authorities, we're going to create something. We've already done it, but now for everybody else, if they want to participate, we can send it to the MPs, MPPs, and senators, and the Privy Council. Again, the head of the snake, the Privy Council. Canadian people should be looking into what is the Privy Council, because that's one of the heads of the snake. And the idea being a politician with a soul, if there is one left, could at least have the opportunity to act as our negotiator with the hostile belligerents. it's a step that we have to take. Whether they do it or not, it's a step that we have to take in the process. But February 15th is Flag Day in Canada. If we got 10 million flags, white flags, coast to coast across Canada on February 15th, maybe 10,000 in Ottawa. If you can't make it to Ottawa, then just mail a white flag to Carney, the MPs, Senator, whatever, right? The Privy Council. And that's the signal to say, I'm not a participant. I'm here in peace. It's time to negotiate, acknowledge the peace treaty. That's the proper mechanism to use for remedy, redress, reparations, restitution, and reclamation during a wartime situation. The military is going to take care of it no matter what. But we can do our part and accelerate the process through the proper mechanisms of the Law of War Manual. And just a way of saying, not us. Enough is enough. This is done. We're not participating. And how can the media twist that, right? Oh, these crazy people with a bunch of white flags. They're like, it's a symbol of peace. It's a symbol of neutrality. And we've got all the evidence. Here it is. Just acknowledge it. And then hopefully nobody has to go through what we went through, but I saw a comment there that our justice system is broken. We don't have one. Like it's as simple as that, right? And you really only find that out when you directly challenge this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you've filed the police reports, when you've met with the chief of police who is on our side, which we've done,
yep.
and we put it all in there, and they just say, well, we're going to protect the people in our town. That's not what your oath is. Right. Like when you challenge this stuff directly, then it's too far gone. And what it really just takes is for people to stop participating. The right way to show it, white flag, acknowledge the treaty. The work's already done, but we can participate collectively.
Yep. I'm going to go back and forth between two things here for everybody in the audience, Dan, to this point, right? The first one is, once again, acknowledging wherever you are, Canada, Australia, etc., as it's already been shown in the summary of the Army CID letter. You have the screenshots of the British government registered in not Downing Street in the city of London. And as a business entity, you had that as well of Canada that I'm showing up here on the Edgar search, which is once again, in fact, a corporation registered in Washington, D.C. in America, which makes it 100% legally and lawfully an American corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So, somebody out here going, who, once again, me, Canadian Army infantry soldier, very proud to have a maple leaf on my shoulder. Very proud to have the maple leaf displaying because of what it meant. But once we get back past the symbology and the recognition that, wow, that maple leaf is a flag of a business corporation, just like when I worked at Research in Motion, RIM Blackberry, and we had the RIM Blackberry flag in the parking lot, and I show up to work at Research in Motion to sell BlackBerry and work with the U.S. government on the DoD team and others. That's just a flag. We have the association of what Canada has meant to the audience here is in your heart, right? It's literally going back to the wizard. At home is where the heart is. Yeah. And the fact then, if you dismiss your emotional attachment to a maple leaf, the symbol of what you actually feel, what you're really feeling then is that flag of neutrality, the white flag of Parley, which flag's unlimited, by the way. I was doing a research on it. They have the pedophile flags up there. That flag's unlimited in Canada. So we know where they stand. They're with Satan. But once you have that flag of Parley per section 12 in the Law of War Manual, which is what we all fall under right now juristically, because this is a wartime situation It's been confirmed many, many times by President Trump, cabinet, you name it, over the years that we've shown here. Next thing you have is, well, if I have that white flag of neutrality and I'm seeking remedy, I'm seeking exactly what I want rather than being a Canadian flag under the corporation with a maple leaf, then by virtue of that, you're actually joining with the people of the world. And on Flag Day happens to be in the Corporation of Canada boundaries, February 15th. So you're also signaling to the world. So we should have another White Flag of Parley national celebration for the 51st state, which once again, people cognitively have a challenge because they don't know that Canada's a corporation registered in America. And it's under America, and by Executive Orders 13818, 13848, and all the other ones too, it's effectively under that control and domiciled by the Republic of America, for which you're going to see things happen. But it's up to us to get out there and do something. Send your own Army CID letter, which again is in that link on the description for everybody right here. This is the PDF version of it. This is what Yayoi, Dan, and their sensei sent, because it also has direct evidence to the persecution of them. But you can legitimately leverage this Word document and alter it to suit your situation. Whether, we've got Susan369 here in the chat. We have a lot of Canadians in the Rumble chat, which is awesome. Thanks. We have almost 200 back and forth. You can leverage that for yourself, and you can send it to the United States Army Criminal Investigation Division, which will then get to the Judge Advocate Generals at Quantico, Marine Quantico Base, Virginia. It's no longer FBI. And here's a man who's was sitting in jail, writing letters to Kash Patel and Pam Bondi.
Yes. From in prison.
From in prison, yeah.
Yeah.
Share a little bit of that.
Sure. It was really, really interesting. And I cannot express enough gratitude to my sensei and the teaching and the tools that he gave me and all of us, because it's not an exaggeration that if you go on, I don't even know what system they use, but like a Google review or whatever, or a review of the prisons in Canada, the Maplehurst Correctional Facility in Milton is actually recognized as the worst, least functioning prison in Canada. Like there's 3 to a cell at any given time. The facility is not super organized. And it's a remand center. So you're dealing with like people that are in trial that haven't been sentenced yet. And you have folks all over the place. What was interesting is, I will say, a perspective that I got was that the people that are there, number one, the worst of the worst criminals are not in there. Like they're running the country and they're all those kinds of things, right? But what you end up seeing is you see a lot of victims of the world and the situation that the dark has created quite intentionally. Like there's so many situations where, if they went this path or they went this path, and, let's say their parents didn't have to struggle for resources and finances or a roof over their head, but these resources are available to the world. Like humans aren't supposed to be living that way. And these are really just like victims of the much larger crime. So that's one perspective as well. But I was okay in the worst place in Canada. And even the inmates would be like, yeah, this is the hardest time that you'll do. I ate well. I meditated. I trained. There were some souls that I was there to help as well. So there were some wrongfully accused people that came right into my path, like day one, literally. There was one guy who was totally synchronistically, he was right there in front. Like we went in on the same day. He was ahead of me in the lineup. And then we ended up going to the same range. And then the range collapsed and we went different places. And then we reconnected again. But wrongfully accused, dealt with the woke judge. Great guy. He's the only person that I actually kept in touch with on the outside, and we went on a double date, he and his wife and I, like a good man and just a good soul. But there was divine protection every place that I went. Like violence and everything all around. I never dealt with any of it. I went to an acceptable place at first. The next range that I went to, I taught Tai Chi to a couple of people in the range. not a joke.
And meditation, totally meditation too.
Yeah. And like, we worked out, like people were good to each other on that range. Everything was fine. Then I went into the work program after, I got sentenced and everything. And again, divine protection. A lot of the guards that I dealt with at that place, 'cause you can't talk to the guards in jail, but when you go to the work program, you can. I didn't realize they read your mail when you go and you send it out. And poor little naive me. And one of them calls me in at one point, and he goes, a friend of mine was visiting, and he had a very COVID protesty truck with like an inflatable thing, and my like an inflatable sheep.
Oh yeah.
And this guard goes, "Hey, you have a friend that came to visit you today?" And I said, yeah. And he goes, "You drive a white pickup truck?" And I go, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, he does." And I'm like, "How'd you know?" And he goes, "Well, number one, I'm the guy that reads your mail. And and number two, let's just say that you'll find a lot of sympathetic ears here in this range in particular. A lot of the guards, we had seniority. We didn't get it. We didn't get the thing. Yep. And we know why you're here." And I mean, the work was hard, but when you go to a work program, you get your own room, you get to kind of live as close to a human as possible there. So honest to God, I had all of the tools that I needed. I was super positive the entire way. I didn't get mistreated. I didn't have to deal with violence. Saw some stuff, really interesting things on the inside, but spiritually and physically, I was protected. The downloads that I was getting, wild. Like it was super, super cool. And I came out of there, maximum blessings and gratitude to my friends at my workplace, because I was gone for 4 months, and it was just like, boop, I didn't even get a chance to inform people. They give violent offenders sometimes like a few days to get their affairs in order and everything like that. Me, nope. Your sentencing's now. See you later. And they took our DNA, which is like ridiculous. Nobody has that. And they gave us a 3-year probation. 3-year probation. The people on the inside laughed when I told them that. And one of them was like, "I'm a repeat offender. I got caught with actual drugs on my actual body multiple times, and I've never even been given a year probation." 3 years. No priors to any of us. Like we're super normal people, served the community our whole lives. 3 years. So this is the criminality that we deal with. But we hear Tina Peters and some of these other folks that have gone wrongfully accused, not doing so well in there. If it wasn't for the tools my sensei gave me, spiritually and physically and mentally, I'm not sure what it would have been like, but I thrived in that situation because I had the tools to be able to deal with it. And that's one of the reasons that the spiritual cultivation, telepathic resonance, and all these other things are so important in this spiritual war. Like anchoring in the light, visualizing a pillar of light and the the halo, like the golden halo around yourself, visualizing the world that you want to see every single day, invoking your protections, centering yourself, all those kinds of things. These are so important. And I can tell you that, when I don't know if you, well, Brad, for sure, I know you actually, but for your audience, if you've ever been in a situation where you're in a great mood and then you go into a place like a mall or wherever else, and all of a sudden you're just like, your mood changes and everything shifts. We deal with other people's consciousness and frequencies. And a lot of the thoughts that get into our heads are not actually our own thoughts. And that's something that Sensei taught me many, many moons ago when I first started. But I can tell you, when you are 24/7 in the worst place possible and you have a lot of really dense consciousnness, even for me, like you'd hit this spiral sometimes, and you're like, oh, holy cow. And those protection protocols where it's like, okay, I've got to build like a shield of divine mirror reflection around me and like that was literally life-saving and consciousness saving. I'm telling you, like, it is equally as important as repeating your middle area blocks.
Yep.
Right? Like it is a spiritual self-defense as much as it is a physical self-defense. And that's why whatever action we've done, citizen's arrest, sending a letter, writing a peace treaty, it doesn't matter. We've always, always, always led with the spiritual aspect first. And I would encourage anybody to really do the same during this pivotal time, because that's another thing we get into with our calls with Sensei. There's an energetic alignment that's going on that we can really tap into, and it just increases all the time. And that aspect is just as much how we achieve a global victory and freedom as it is everything else. But from a super practical point of view, I can tell you, if it works in the worst prison in Canada, this stuff can work in your everyday life too. Yep. And then I had a job coming out. My friends actually worked overtime hours to ensure that when I got out 4 months later, that I would have exactly the same means to eat and provide as I did when this happened to me. Obviously, they're on our side of the fence as well, but they struggled to be able to hold that thing for me. So to say that there wasn't any divine protection along the way, we're healthy, we're safe, we're able to continue doing everything that we do, and now it's just a matter of manifesting the reality that we want to live in.
Well, I think what you're getting at, and thank you for sharing that. There's people in the chat, just amazing. I'll read one of the comments to you from Gillip1, I guess is the handle in Rumble. Indeed, they were making an example of you. Incredible resilience given. And Gillip says, backed by God. Great omnipresence of divinity, folks. And I think what you're talking about here is consciousness. And that's what really resonates for me when we talk about North American Alliance, the motto of Space Force Semper Supra, which we'll transition into here in these next few moments. The way that they have been manipulating us, everybody, that you're very much aware of at this point in time, is by stealing the collective consciousness and redirecting it to manifest the outcomes which they wanted, whether it was the 3 directed energy weapons and the takedown of the 3 World Trade Center towers in 9/11. And I happen to have some experience with that, right? And we have all the emails on our network operations centers. And I was also liaising with the Department of Defense team, now Department of War, but our team at RIM Blackberry at the Pentagon, and then flown to the Pentagon after being at ground zero while rescue efforts were going on under the rubble of that deep state inside job attack. And they had fired a missile into the Pentagon from a submarine which had surfaced in the Potomac, and fired a missile into it. And we even had the emails to that, and colleagues that I was working with at the Pentagon side who said a missile has just hit us. It's killed a number of my team. We have all of that too, just like Trump has all of this evidence. But what they've done is they stole the consciousness and put everybody into a fear state, which is easier to manipulate people when you've got high stress cortisol levels. Remember, there's an inverse relationship between cortisol, dopamine, serotonin, and your natural DMHT, which our body generates. So it suppresses all of that. It also suppresses your hormone regulation naturally to put you in the fight or flight state. And then they bring in things like Patriot Act, the TSA, the security sweeps, all this kind of stuff. You know, lockdowns, you now are on curfew, you're going to be arrested if you go out, etc. What you're tapping into is your innate ability to expand your consciousness, put up a spiritual shield, which is amazing, in the worst prison in all of Canada, ranked by it. And I remember you said to me, Dan, after you got out, or maybe I heard this from Yayoi actually, when I was talking with her while you were in there, that the very first day that they put you in a cell block, your roommate ordered a in-prison hit on somebody, right? So the fact that you can still walk in light.
Yeah.
So you tell me, like the guy ordered a hit to be carried out on somebody in like your first few hours on your first day. And remember, this is the day when they had expected to be walking out of court in Brampton on here Ontario Street, where I used to sell poppies for Royal Canadian Air Cadets for the Legion to raise money for it. And they took you away just like that, like off to a black site, if you will. And they did a whole bunch of other stuff, and you kept your consciousness up, and here you are. I think everybody, it's very telling. They can see where you are still at a level of peace. And we know about the Law of War Manual, and you guys have discussed it a little bit about the Law of Peace Manual coming out and stepping into our sovereignty. Do you want to just kind of take people there as to what's to come when they actually take the action and send a letter to the US Army CID in Quantico?
Yes. So the motto that we're tagging on every one of our posts that we've been, directed to keep in the consciousness is the North American Alliance, telepathic resonance, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, individual sovereignty, and then the Law of War Manual will eventually become and transition to replaced by the Law of Peace Manual per Space Force Delta Wing, per Space Force Operations Delta Wing, Semper Supra, which means always above, right? So and if you think of that motto, we're handling this, we the people, and the military too, obviously, but we're handling this and we're seeking remedy from a higher level, always above that which is festering down below, right? You even Einstein said, like, you never solve a problem from that same level, you solve it from a higher level. And this is where, well, we've got all these corrupt judges. Well, what can handle the corrupt judges? Hey, Law of War Manual, section 11.10.1, authority to suspend ordinary courts if you show that the judges are unfair and corrupt and unwilling and unable to perform their duties. Well, has anybody called out these judges directly to their face and put that evidence on there and indicted them and the entire government of Canada and put it on the record and done all of that? Oh, hey, we did, right? Yeah. So the job's already done, right? It's there.
You did.
But both, the galactics, the positive entities, prime creator source, and the white hat military, they're also waiting for us to rise up. So rather than, always saying, hey, come down here, come down here, come down here, what they're trying to say is rise yourself up, rise yourself up, rise yourself up, right? Like this is where we start to reclaim our individual sovereignty. Like we know about the sovereign citizen thing. We know all that, right? Like, and that's cool, right? Or the free man on the land. That is great. Please don't get me wrong. But just going back to like the real essence and meaning of the thing, the spiritual concept, right? Like, are you actually free? Are you actually in control of your actions? And are you truly sovereign? Because if you are, and this is the scary part for a lot of people, you're also responsible. You're responsible for your actions. There's a lot of empowerment that comes to that, but it's scary, right? Because at the end of the day, then you're responsible for your health. You're responsible for your finances. You're responsible for your actions. You're responsible for all these different things. That's scary for a lot of people with the brainwashing and the paradigm that we've been in a lot of the time. So as we send off these letters, the idea is that it's a notice. It's a request to acknowledge the peace treaty and, hey, you know, we're supposed to be protected. We're supposed to be doing all this. But then the other side to that is we have duties and responsibilities too. So, you know, to throw it out there, if the only thing that you've or one has done is, yeah, I went to a protest on the weekends for a couple hours, you know, while things were locked down. Did you really do a lot to contribute to the world that you want to live in? Do you want things to just go back to the status quo? These are not judgment questions. These are just things, if you're looking in the mirror, maybe ask them, right? Because there is a continuity of government. There's a hammer that's coming down. And if you read the laws, like the international laws, the common law, the biblical law, right? Look at Ezekiel 33. Ezekiel 33 is all about the watchman and the idea of if the watchman I'm messing this up a little bit, but if the watchman sees an attack or sees something coming in and they fail to blow the horn of warning, then the blood of those who die from the attack is on the watchman's hands too, because the watchman failed in their duty.
Yep.
And if the watchman does the duty, blows the horn, warns people, then they're absolved, right? Like nothing is their fault. We have duties and responsibility, and this goes back to pre-biblical times too. There's universal law. We have duties and responsibilities. So the letter is a notice. The white flag and saying enough is enough is an action. The idea being the work has been done. We have a peace treaty. If you haven't read it, read it. And you'll see we cover quite a bit of material on there, right? It's not just here's our demands, here's our thing. Like we've put even the people that are like, there's no white hats, there's no remedy. We've got remedy and reparations in there for you too, right? The idea is this is for all of the victims of the hostile belligerents, and the evidence is there, and we perform the steps and da-da-da-da-da. But now we send these notices to the right organizations, and we show them that we're willing to stand up for ourselves and the children and actually do our duty to protect and serve, even though we don't have a paycheck and weapons and oaths and all of these things. We're born, we're alive. These fundamental God-given rights and freedoms don't really just come for free. There are responsibilities attached to them. There are duties attached to them. You don't have to do it. You have free will and choice.
Yep.
But the idea
is to be sitting here with like 14.7 million Canadians to be slaughtered by the government, the document that got leaked to
and then pay them for it.
And you're paying for it. So anybody, because there's questions here in the chat about Rumble and their taxes, and you know what Dan just once again stated to everybody, if you take your compensation, declare it as income. Income is a word that the IRS started in 1913 Act, which brought in the Federal Reserve, FBI, and the ADL in America, and then went all throughout the world with the Fed Reserve banking cartel system, central bankster cartel systems as well, then you by yourself are actually funding your own death and genocide and tyranny upon the other people. So you are complicit in their own crime of actually funding terrorism. That's it. Full stop. Bottom line. That's exactly what it is. And oh, by the way, that's even backed up in the Law of War Manual too.
It is. Section 15.6 right there, Law of War Manual. It flat out says, if you want to be a neutral civilian non-combatant, if you participate or fund or whatever one of the sides, you've just forfeited your neutrality.
100%.
Rome Statute, Article 25. You're not supposed to fund the crime, right? You can go into the Nuremberg Code that talks about funding crime as well. Criminal Code of Canada, facilitating organized criminal, like whatever. But as for the people that are asking those kinds of things, you can do. I'm not going to say, do this, do that, because there is no magic bullet solution to this, right? If the idea is, what is the magic bullet to make these people leave me alone? Like, there is a war here. There's infighting within the FBI. There's infighting within the military, right? There's so much cleanup that is happening on the global level. Like, they're having to do work on their end. Like there's going to be work and there's going to be a little bit of a battle on our end too, right? So there is no magic bullet solution, but there is the truth. And one thing that one could do if you wanted, you could get this letter, send it off, do it registered mail so that you've got like a record that you've sent it and that it's been received and everything like that. And if people are bugging you, well, you could use our case precedents, right? And say, hey, you're making me feel afraid. And according to this case over here, I'm intimidated by this letter. Like that's criminal harassment. But in addition to that, as a way to protect myself, I'm standing with a white flag here. I'm neutral. I don't know where the money's going. Like nobody's disclosed this, right? We've got the Telesat scandal. We've got the billions to the Ukraine. We've got all these different money laundering things, CCP infiltration, which is in the letter as well, right? Like, I just don't know where the money's going. And these laws say that I'm not supposed to fund it. So if you're asking me or trying to force me into criminal activity, please let me know. But since there's a continuity of government, I'm informing you that I've actually sent all of this evidence and evidence of your harassment to the United States Army Criminal Investigation Division to let them know that I'm standing under the white flag. I'm trying to be neutral. I'm following the laws here, and that I'm under attack. So I'm just informing you that I've let the military know that this is my stance. This is the remedy. And like, we know that you guys are the hostile belligerents. We know the crimes that you've committed, and I'm not supposed to fund that.
Yep.
And I would say, more than anything, do that if it resonates with you. That's really the key to everything going forward. It's that telepathic resonance. Does it resonate with you? When in your heart of hearts, in your soul of souls, whatever action you perform, filing a tax return, not filing a tax return, funding this, funding that, going to court, does it resonate with you? Does it resonate with what is true? We know that going to court funds the deep state through the QSIP numbers and the ISIN number. Does it resonate with you to do that? That's a individual question that you have to ask between you and creator, whatever label you want to put that, right? But this is an action that people can perform to pave the way. It's not, the military's got a lot going on. It's not a magic bullet. But if everybody sends those letters asking for remedy and acknowledgement of the peace treaty, and then we start throwing it at the MPs, MPPs, and senators, hey, we're the victims here. We're under a white flag. There's protections in the Law of War Manual and the Geneva Convention and the Hague Convention for people under the white flag. There are protections within the Law of War Manual for those that are acting with the parlementaire. Like, all of these things are coded and written in. And you've got a link in there that shows, for anybody that's like, well, there's what war, right? I doubt there's people listening to your show that are thinking, what war? But just in case, it's in there. We've got the laws. This goes back generations and generations. We've put it there, right? We were supposed to be, we humanity were supposed to be deleted by now, by last year, really. But we're not. Read the Nassau War document. Read the Bilderberg documents that we've got in there. Like, if you read all of this stuff, we weren't supposed to be here. But we are. How? Right? There are good guys. There are forces working in our favor. But now we have the opportunity to be part of those forces working in the collective favor of the light, universal truth, disclosure, whatever you want to call that. So I hope that ties it together for everybody.
It's amazing. You've done an incredible job bringing this together and bringing the information out, because if everybody recalls when you got locked down and then people started waking up to what this was really all about, you're like, I wish this would stop. I wish somebody would do something. And then it got to the boiling point in many people's facilities saying, well, I don't know exactly what to do, but I want to stop this. I just wish somebody would tell me what to do and we could all go out and do it. Well, here it is. Here's just the very basic concept, because everything is documented from who is standing up and how it is that they're standing up, so that when the remedy does come, like President Trump just said on Saturday with Venezuela on his 1.5 hour near press conference from Mar-a-Lago, on that raid, the capture, and then taking over and then running it, saying we are in charge of Venezuela. And Marco Rubio has just been appointed special envoy to Greenland, as Greenland becomes a territory of the United States. Right now, as America is going into Cuba to free the people of Cuba and to send either a missile up the ass of the president of Colombia right now, or arrest him on war crimes, narco-terrorism, because it's all part of the national security strategy, the Monroe Doctrine, and returning everybody to sovereignty, law, and peace. This is all about returning to sovereignty, law, peace, and prosperity for all of you watching, everybody around the world. This is what that's about. And there are those who don't deserve peace and prosperity, those who have actually been raining upon you crimes against humanity, racketeering, fraud, corruption, tyranny, suppression, oppression, rape, torture, murder, you name it, the most heinous crimes. They are getting their due. They are going to be having all of their days, all the way down to the local levels. So we have to also be participants in that freedom movement and receiving the remedy, like President Trump just said on Saturday. All the people of Venezuela, even the ones who have had to leave, will receive remedy. All the people of Venezuela are going to profit from Venezuela, because this is also a business deal. The business of peace and prosperity is for everybody. There is no hierarchical structure of people at the top are making the most amount of money versus people at the bottom. It's about bringing everybody back up, because the long-term plan is the restoration, where we're finally in that tier 1, type 1 civilization in a Star Trek level age, where you really don't need money because everything's provided for you. That's where we're going. But there are people today who are sitting here in our chair going, well, it's still a value. We actually require it. We require our gold, we require our silver, but we're getting to that point over the next 2 to 3 decades. But for right now, it's up to us. And, you know, the thing that I don't think I've told you this, but a few people know about this, that really got me going, is that one little meme. It was black and white, of a little boy holding his father's hands, looking up. And the meme just said, when all this is over, will you be able to look in the mirror and decide that you stood on the right side of history or not? That meme from 2020 got me, because it was all about the children. Not that I wasn't going to do anything, but that's kind of what I hold myself to my own personal account. Did you stand on the right side of history? Did you do everything? I could probably do more. I probably making mistakes here. It is just what it is. But I feel that I'm doing a pretty damn good job overall. For a guy unlike you, I haven't been to jail like Pastor Artur Pawlowski. Unlike you, I don't have at this point in time, a national-wide warrant out for my arrest like James Bowder. And unlike Norman Traversy and others, and Katie Pasitny and Universal Ostrich Farms, and I'm only mentioning names that the global audience will be aware of here, Dan, from a Canadian standpoint, and others. But yeah, they took over my bank accounts. Yeah, I'm not allowed to see my loved ones and my family in America because I refused the vaccine and the jab. Still standing up, still doing this, still having to go to different countries and bounce around to get the shows out. And each show, everybody, is typically 12 to 14 hours straight of my time, usually over the course of a day to 2 days to pull it off. Waking up when the sun rises, going to bed long after the sun sets, because you've got to get it out on socials. You got to communicate with people and get it going, right? So this is part of my medium to standing up. Dan has his, and all what we are encouraging everyone around the world do is take the letter template, leverage it for yourself and your own purposes with all the evidence there. There's already thousands upon thousands upon thousands of pages of documented racketeering, crimes against humanity, war crimes, fraud, destruction, all across the board. It's already done for you. And just put your name on it, make a little bit of a personalization, customization to it, and send it over to the United States Army Criminal Investigation Division at Quantico-based Virginia, from wherever you are. Pay the fee, put it in the mail tracking number. That'll get up to the Judge Advocate General. would be amazing. And then on February 15th, if you're still in Canada on the land, then wherever you can, find a white flag. I think right now, based on my research, Dan, that I can't find any national distributor or online that has just a simple white flag of Parley, because they all have the emblems of different corporations or subsidiary corporations like that in Alberta, BC, et cetera right now. So, you can even just make your own with
yes, you can.
Right?
Yes.
And just a white pillowcase, that's just enough. There's no it's got to be, Law of War Manual says it has to be the dimensions 36 by 20, whatnot. Like, that part is not in the Law of War Manual.
No.
We have to abide by the terms of that as a peaceful civilian non-combatant.
Yes.
Which is what nearly all of you are in this audience.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, we got ours. We actually did a white flag energy working in Ottawa on Remembrance Day. We were at one end, Sensei was at the other by himself, and he actually he caught Carney's eye with his big white flag, and Carney saw that flag, and they know what it means. And there was just four of us in there doing an energy working as well. It was super cool. And it was the sky was gray and everything like that. And then when we started doing the meditation, it right there, the sun just went as we did. It was really cool. But we just got ours, hate to say it, but we got it on Amazon. And we got a big flag, and now it's in it's hanging on our house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And we've got other people that have it on their house, have it on their cars, right? Whatever you want to do with it. But the idea is February 15th, white flags for anybody who wants the peace treaty acknowledged, reparations, restitution, reclamation, redemption, all of those R's to be brought in for humanity, for the children. But also just want to say, I'm not a part of this war. I'm here for peace. I am here for truth, disclosure, and I am in a neutral state.
Put a white flag on your backpack through the airports.
Yes.
Yes. There. You know what? So this is really starting to tick off by fire, and I'll tell you why. Do you have
and then Brett, I'm sorry, or Brett, sorry, Brad. I got to go real soon.
Okay, cool.
Just for work. I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. I'm supposed to have traveled 20 minutes ago too.
We just get going,
Yeah. Good Water Woman says in the Rumble chat, my package is ready to go. Honk, honk, honk. I made a white flag from a white shower curtain with grommets and used a long orange driveway marker stick as they have a sharp end. We have Susan369. Brad, we're so thankful for you and all for us. Grateful for this amazing information, you guys. Jillip1 says, I was at J6, which is tomorrow, the anniversary. I'm going to share this with like minds for sure. We have many thanks to Dan and everyone making this truth real for people in this place. Hello, everyone from Ontario, Canada, from Expos. That's just amazing. Canadian Maple is in the chat. This is just incredible. So we also have somebody said they painted a banner 8x4 for their website with peace treaty at a local rally. Awesome. So folks, the whole point here is do this, right? Do this white flag of Parley. Do this, send a letter to the U.S. Army CID, and then talk about it. But that's the first thing that you can do is go to the Google Drive link here in the chat. I placed it 5 times throughout the show. It's right below the description. Nobody can say, where's the Google Drive link, right? It's right there. It's in the chat. It's under the show. You're listening to the podcast later rather than watching the broadcast. Download that Word doc, PDF, modify it for your name. Take that 28 pages of evidence. It's already done for you, which has links to thousands and thousands and thousands of others, and send it to the U.S. Army CID at Quantico Base, Virginia, the Marine Quantico Base. Done. And then you've got a white flag, something really cool, and tell people what it means. And it's also in the Law of War Manual. It is not surrender. It is parley for truce to say I'm peaceful. I want remedy. I want my billions of dollars for my straw man now. Or at the very least, right? We have a little joke to that effect. At the very least, you're going to get remedy for what has happened to you and your family for the last few generations.
Absolutely.
You for final comments, my friend.
Just for everybody, remember we co-create the reality that we want to live in. But I'll just end with the motto that we were putting out. North American Alliance, telepathic resonance,
Yep.
freedom of speech, freedom of movement, individual sovereignty, financial freedom.
Yep.
The Law of War Manual becomes the Law of Peace Manual per Space Force Operations Delta Wing, Semper Supra. Always above. And February 15th, if you are in Canada, put up that white flag. If you're anywhere in the world, this applies globally, right?
Yep. Like the people in Iraq now. Yeah.
It's our unified sign of we are not participating, we are not consenting, we are neutral. We're demanding the peace treaty be acknowledged for the benefit of all, and that we have remedy, redress, reparations, restitution, reclamation to reclaim what has been lost, and for those who wanted and have earned it, redemption. That's got to be a part of it too. We can't always think about suffering. Part of the peace treaty is a demand for accountability. Of course, we want that for peace, but redemption for the souls that have earned that right too. Mm-hmm. And that's really the note to end on. I think we create the peace.
We certainly do. And for the supporters in our chat of the Alberta referendum freedom movement in Saskatchewan, even Jeffrey Rath, if he's watching, Jeff, we can leverage this too for Alberta.
Yes.
Right. It's a sign. 100%. So this is not to usurp an Alberta freedom movement come back in sovereign territory. This is a sign for the world, and this is a sign for the military justice and the redemption and the remedy for all who are peaceful like yourself and everybody else here too. So amazing. Thank you, Dan. Thank you to your lovely wife. Please, mahalo, Louis Noah, to Sensei as well for carrying the torch since the 80s, and everybody else on your team. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And Adonai, everybody. Take care.
It is an honor. Bye-bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, follow, subscribe, share this with 9 friends and family. And of course, if you enjoy our blinged Buddha firing red pills from his 9mm, let us know.